What's up, everyone? We've got another awesome episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. What is this? I think this is season 2, episode 3, guys. We're fully in it.
Strong.
And we've got another legendary guest. Introduce yourself, please, bro.
Oh, hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Shard or Shard TCG, and yeah, I'm on the content game for Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's been good. It's been good.
Lovely. Definitely awesome to have you. And you know, as you guys can tell by Shahed's amazing accent, he is also a Londoner like me. It's like to have it's nice to not be the only Londoner on the call for once. But
Nice to not have to worry about time zones, isn't it?
Well, when you guys said times, I'm like, you don't have to worry, guys. We're at the same time zone.
Chilling, in
I'm not
it.
gonna lie, yeah. And the
Yeah.
the thing is, I knew, but I was like, I'm just used to always being like, oh, time zone. Then it's like, okay, 6 hours, all this nonsense. This one is like, it's
Yeah.
same time zone. But
I'm loving it.
look, guys, I think there's a very, very exciting thing happening, and that is Cyberstorm Access. So when this video uploads, Cyberstorm Access will be out. But for us, at the what's it called? Sneak peek happened
Sneak peek
just yesterday, guys. So who here went to the sneak peek? I didn't go to sneak peek. I played a tournament, but I didn't go to sneak peek. Did you guys go to sneak peeks?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I ended up going on Saturday, and luckily enough, I got everything I needed for like the channel. I was super stressed about what I need to get, but yeah, luckily the pools were good, man. Like Chaos Angel, all of that, man.
Oh, really? You got it already?
Yeah. I think between like me and my friends, we all saw Chaos Angel each in our box, which is
Nice.
crazy. So, yeah.
You know what? One mad thing I'd say is that the amount of product I saw people buying was crazy. Like, there's like 3 or 4 people that bought like 6 boxes. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not used to people buying that much. But yeah, I saw a few people. The card that I haven't seen anyone pull yet is Albion the Striking Dragon. I haven't seen one person pull
I've not seen
in ours. Yeah,
I've not seen many people selling it either, actually.
Yeah,
That the fusion, the Sanctifier Dragon.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No
that
one's
card
pulled
is a
it.
problem, man.
That
Played against it. Oof. Like it's actually like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hit expulsion. Okay, we'll just put it on a monster.
Yeah.
Right?
Which
Pretty much.
to me suggests that they're probably not going to touch expulsion. I feel like they're probably going to. Well, do you know what, guys? Let's start off with and let's actually delineate this and say, let's start off with saying what do we think is going to the meta is going to be like in terms of Cyberstorm Access. Where do we think what? So let's all go around and say our top 3 decks. What do you think the top 3 best decks will be in Cyberstorm Access?
Shire, do you want to tee this off, bro?
Yeah. So I did like a poll on my channel because I was curious what other people think.
Mm-hmm.
So I had on there, I put 4 that I think were going to be the best, which is purely, obviously,
Yeah.
Ashtira,
Yeah.
and Super Heavy Samurai. I think those are going to be the top 3 decks in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that said, Ashtira is heavily dependent on the ban list
Yeah.
because I can see Shifter come back in the main deck for every Kashtira deck, and if it does, it's just going to hit every deck the same way it hit Tournament. So, they might just win everything. So yeah, that's my take.
Yeah. That's a good one, definitely. What do you think?
I think I'm pretty much in the same boat. Other than I think maybe it'll be those 3, and I think it'll either be Branded, and I think Sprite will still have some representation as well, because I think Branded gets a lot of power in this new set. Like there's the Quem, there's the Albion, as we mentioned earlier. There's also the Bestial stuff that's coming out, like the more synchro based stuff. Like that continuous trap's kind of bonkers. Like I don't know if any of you guys read it.
Branded
and
it's nice.
Yeah, but again, it's
right?
Yeah,
and it's a quick synchro as well. But again, it's all ban list dependent, man. Because we're in. So for anyone like who doesn't really know too much about like how it works in nationals in the UK, nationals in the UK is usually around about the same time we're expecting a ban list. So testing for it is a myth.
Yeah, it's a bit technical sometimes. It really depends on whether Konami decides to do the ban list just before or if they do it just after. Hopefully, it's just after. I
don't know. I'm kind of hoping it's just before because for me personally, anyway, I think it's better to know what to test, right?
Yeah.
Because I think last year we had the ban list. I think 2 weeks before Nats, and it was like, oh, okay, well, we've still got 2 weeks of adequate testing time, right?
Yeah. That's true. Actually, it's still.
It's in a way, it's nice to enjoy the chaos of like this and Nats in like 5 days, but when you think about it, I think was it 4 Type Nova? We had like a Whitelist Leon. Yeah, it was Whitelist Leon like 4 days after Hypno release, and that was just way too stressful, man. That was way too stressful.
And that's
so
the
I hope we don't get that, but yeah.
We'll see what they end up doing. Konami, it would be nice if they just kind of told us. We just knew. That would also make life easier. But
I'm buying a few things,
Yeah.
Electromite. I've had Electromite.
Electromite should have come back ages ago. Pendulums is doing nothing anyway. I don't know why.
It's not doing it. Well, Super Heavy Samurai is a pendulum deck, so.
Well, yeah.
You know.
I guess they used Beyond the Pendulum in the FDK variant. But yeah, I'd say for me, what I'd say in terms of meta decks, funnily enough, actually, I would say if Kashtira doesn't get hit, I think Kashtira will still be the best deck. I actually think Super Heavy Samurai will definitely be up there. But I don't think Pearly will, and I've been testing a lot of Pearly. Like, I can't lie, I think Pearly is terrible. And here's
really.
Why. Do you know why? I was
that's controversial.
Do you know why? I was testing. Me and my friends, we were testing it so much yesterday. And the problem with Pearly is that it's really easily punishable, and the monsters and the quick plays are all actually really bad. So like all of your quick plays don't really do anything. They're just all E-tellies. Like we were testing it, and what we were finding is that like you activate your quick play. If you have a handful of just Pearly cards, it's really bad because they don't interact with your opponent really, and they're all quick plays that need to discard, and so you end up having to discard good cards. So like the best hands we were finding, some people were playing like the Dark World engine, and so it was like the best hands would be like you'd want like a Pearly, one or two Pearly quick plays, and then you'd want like a Dark World card. But then it's like that stage, then it's like you've already got like 4 cards in your hand taken up by cards that don't interact with the opponent, and then your last card may be a Nash or something. And so what we were finding as well is like most of the games when Pearly was winning is because your opponent breaks or you drew draw. Those were the two. That was like your win condition.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
could you also say?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I was saying, could you also say it's and this is me as well. Like people still don't know exactly how Purely works, and that's for a lot of deck build packs, right? So like I'm saying it's Purely.
Yeah.
In the back of my head, I'm like, I still don't know 100% how the deck works because like we just don't have that in our like little testing group that I have. So you know,
to an extent, yeah, like there's always a solving thing. I think part of it as well though is Sleepy not having the XYZ as well as a thing as well, because Sleepy not having out of the quick play, Sleepy not having the associated XYZ also means that it's functionally a brick. Like imagine if Runic, one of the spells, imagine if Flashing Fire and Runic couldn't E-telly from deck, for example, even though that's like a bad example, it's almost like that where it's like there's that as well. So there is a solvability thing and an optimization thing as well. But genuinely, I genuinely think it's whenever I look at a deck's cards, it's like I think Sprite for me is like the picture perfect example of like the cards are just good. Like I summon Sprite Blue, then I summon Sprite Jet and Jet gets something, or it's like I summon Sprite Blue and then Sprite Red and I have interactions before I've even touched my extra deck. Pearly, it's like you activate your quick play 1 that doesn't do anything, your quick play 2 that doesn't do anything, then you summon your level 1 that doesn't do anything, and then you summon your other level 1 that doesn't do it to the opponent. And so like for example, like I was playing Mathmech and I'd find like they would summon, I would just let them play because like I don't care what you do, none of your cards affect my life, and then they go into their rank 4 and then I just send it because they can't stop me because they don't have a way to interact with it. So that's why I don't know, that's my controversial opinion. I agree, I think Pearly's like mediocre. I think it gets a lot better in June, but I think Kashtira, Super Heavy Samurai, and I actually think Mathmech will be the 3rd best deck just because unfortunately Circular is a card, and it's just this format is literally just going to be this format just felt like who sees Droll and who can play through Droll the best, and I think that's a really big thing.
Yeah,
I think I haven't pushed this video out yet, but in the video I was talking about what's going to happen is have some access, and one of the things I said was is Droll the new maxi for us, because every crazy deck is maining Droll, every crazy deck loses to Droll. It's like hey, maybe it's time we tried the cross out thing with Droll, but I tend to think of it crazy like that sometimes. I don't know if it actually will happen, but I feel like that'd be quite cool to see because we never had like that kind of polarizing hand trap. So I would go as far as to say I think Super Heavy Samurai should be playing Prohibition in the main deck. Actually, I've said that. I was saying this before, but I think Super Heavy Samurai play 3 Prohibition and call Droll, because it's like you don't lose to any other hand trap super hard, but Droll, everyone's running it and it just stops your turn. And if you run 3 Prohibition, you do one of 2 things. Either you use your Prohibition and then so what you have like one of 2 scenarios. Either Prohibition you get straight away and then you call Droll, or your Tunneler draws at the end and you call Dark Green no more. And it's like either way, it's like you're protected. And what's nice about Prohibition, obviously, is it stays on the field, and you have ways to get out of the grave. But yes, I genuinely think Droll's it's a nutty card. Like if I was playing if I was playing another deck, I would definitely play Cross Out for Droll. This format is
100%. If you're playing a rogue deck in particular and your deck loses to Droll, like I think Cross Out is just so big right now. I like the thing that you said there, Shahid, about Droll being almost like the TCG's Maxi. I don't think it's a point that I necessarily disagree with entirely, because I think it is right. But I think the one difference between Droll and Maxi is if your deck can't OTK, then playing Droll is very risky, in my experience of it anyway. Because Droll's sort of like, get a search, whatever, chain Droll. Okay, like I'll pass. Then the onus is on you to just try and push their bat in it, like, and then not. I don't want to say that like they'll always be able to kill you in the crap back, because obviously if you can set up a super strong board, then it's very different. But I don't know. I think there's certain decks that can play Droll a lot better than others. But that's just me. Like, I could be completely wrong. But yeah, Droll's definitely the big hand trap this format. I think 100%.
100%. Yeah. The other thing.
it's.
Oh, sorry. Carry on, Shahid.
Sorry, I was going to say it's nice to see that Call by the Grave is not that it wasn't relevant, but you could tell people are dropping it. This card is good, and it's kind of nice to see. Or it's exactly one of, but it's still a cool card, and it's nice to see that being played. Like, it's hype when you see it. I feel like hype cards should always be around because it's good for like live streams and stuff. So yeah, I think Call by will be I think everyone will play it the same as Droll. So.
Yeah. Especially with a lot of those non-ones, particularly with Pearly, with Soul Piercer, like, it's nice to have a Call by that's basically at that stage it acts like a draw. It just stops them using it over and over again in the turn, which is crazy. Yeah, I was just gonna go. One of the things as well is I think, Dan, you mentioned at the beginning with Shifter. Shifter as well. All the top decks lose to Shifter right now. So if you're a Shifter deck, you're in a good. Like, literally every deck just folds to Shifter. It's quite 100%. Nice.
And on the topic of super heavy samurais, there's a card that I have noticed has been gaining quite a bit of traction. But if you're playing super heavies, I genuinely think this is one of the best side deck options for you. It's Anti-Human Intelligence Messiah. It was a secret in Dawn of Majesty. The Pendulum effect is it's macro for everything but monsters.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, that is cracked.
So, funnily enough,
if you guys.
Oh, go
ahead. You go.
I was going to say that, funnily enough, what I'm seeing more super heavy players do now, because searchable, is they're just playing one copy of Retaliating Sea. You just play Alan Bershin, and then you search Retaliating Sea instead, because every single Pearly spell specials from deck, and because it doesn't choose on activation, you can just activate it as soon as they activate it, because it chooses on resolution, if that makes sense. And so Retaliating Sea is the other thing people are doing for a similar reason, because you just shut down the whole deck. But where were you going with that, Shahid?
My brain just fogged when we were talking about Retaliating Sea. But Dan, what were you talking about at the end there again?
And with Messiah, like the fact that it's the pendulum monster as well, like it doesn't conflict with the super heavy Sam drawbacks at all. I think it's level 8, so I guess you could maybe pen someone out if that was.
I think it's actually level 11.
Is it?
So it's funny, like, we're talking about this card because one of my recent videos. It was the thumbnail of the card, and it was kind of like the hero card of the video, because it's the only Cyber's Pendulum in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
You can search any Pendulum in the game when you summon Magic Spectre, the rank 4 Exceed. And then when Firewall, I believe, goes to the graveyard, or anything it points to goes to the graveyard, you can summon a Cyber's from the hand. So you get to cheat out a Messiah on your opponent's turn. And like Messiah's monster effect, like it's Pendulum effect is insane. And against Runic, it's like, you win the game, right? But then his monster effect is like really, really good as well. It's like, I think every time monster is summoned, it gets this like status affection on it where like it will go grave at the end of the turn.
Yeah.
And then in a Pendulum deck as well, I think it's an extender because you can summon it by moving something to the extra face up. It's actually it is level 8 as well. Yeah, it's like a really good card. Really good card.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting bought out a bit.
Because I remember when it came out, like I thought, this card's interesting. I didn't cop it because it was a secret route of Dama. But the fact it didn't get a reprint in the Megatins, because I was looking at this more, and then I was like, this was in the Megatins. It ain't gonna be too much. And it has. So if you haven't got them, then it might be a case of you snooze, you lose. But if you're looking at playing Nats, like, and you're playing super heavy, it's definitely worth looking to have in your rotation, because it's kind of like, I don't know. This is something I quite like about super heavy Sams. I don't know about you guys, but I like it when decks, you're kind of forced to play it differently. Like, I think from a deck building aspect, like, that is so interesting. Take things like Runic, Sekka's Light decks to a degree. I don't know, I can't think of any more examples off the top of my head. But yeah, I think Super Heavy Sam is such a strong combo deck. And I know people have been talking about this pile deck with all the synchros and the bestials and stuff, but it's just Super Heavy Sam with extra steps. I'm sorry to tell you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like,
Respectfully,
If
innit?
you like
Respectfully.
dragons, then you go one way. Isn't it?
yeah.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely,
But back to Syac, there's one card that I wanted to talk about in particular that got a lot of buzz when it was announced, and everyone thought this card was going to end Yu-Gi-Oh! And I've not seen a lot of people talk about it, so I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it, innit? So, Time Tearing Morganite, right? You guys know about this card, right? Of course.
Yes.
This card is a super rare, super accessible. I was incredibly surprised when I saw this was a super rare because I thought this has secret rare written all over it, but it's a card that only. Well, I suppose that's another example of decks that you'd have to change deck building around for Morganite. But what do you guys think about it? Do you think it's going to make a big impact in the TCG or not?
I could
Yeah.
see it potentially, yeah. Like it has. So I've just put it on the screen so the people at
Oh,
home can
perfect.
see it as well. But this is Time Terror Morganite. But yeah, I could definitely see it having potential. I think the only weakness with a card like this is that it doesn't do anything straight away. That's always a weakness. But I really do think it's a good card as well. Like I think the biggest part about it is just the fact that your opponent activate monster effects when you normal summon, and that just screams to me Flunder. Like Flunder's really frustrating to deal with, but now it's like normal summon Rabina, you can't even do anything to it. Like, I don't want to deal with that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely gonna be one to look at.
I feel like this card and kind of joined it, but it's like it's so broken. It's so like weird. It's got like a cult following. This card. I feel like I've been part of that in a way because I've been saying like my other videos like this card is crazy. This card is crazy. I would love to see like people play this card and actually do well with it because again, like you said, decks that polarize like kind of how you play and like completely like are different, like Super Heavy Samurai. Like those are fun decks to see, in my opinion. So I mean, I can see a Sakitama Spirit deck like do well with this card maybe because of the two normal summons, and then so this Sakitama stuff is apparently going to boost Ecosystem as well. Side note, but yeah, I can definitely like these cards are insane, by the way. So I can definitely see something. And then like in the OCG recently, there's like a Flunder list that played Obelisk, like actually played Obelisk with the support and did well. So like, who knows, man? Someone's in the lab right now, literally doing overtime. Trying to figure these cards out. So
the one thing I do want to mention about this card, you don't have to activate it at the start of your main phase one. So and it doesn't. You can activate hand effects and then activate this card, which I don't know. It's worth thinking about because obviously it does have to change your deck building, but. Say if you want to play that searchable one of that has a hand effect and also has another effect that you're like, I don't really want to cut it, but I want to play Morganite. Like, so it's not as the drawback isn't as insane as it would seem on paper. But yeah, I'm very much in two minds about this card. It screams absolutely broken in like any trap deck or like Runic or something like that. But is it better than Pot of Extrav? Is it better than Pot of Duality, Prosperity?
I would say no,
I don't know.
just because the hand effects thing for me is just as hand traps. For example, like Droll right now is one of the best cards. This card says you can't draw anymore. So that's where I would say this card has a weakness because it stops you playing, at least right now, the best cards. But I definitely think it's just format dependent. Like you said, if I'm playing Labyrinth, I don't care if I can't draw you anyway. So it's So that's when it becomes really, really effective. So definitely, really, really good card.
I think another thing too is why I don't think we'll see it play is players want things now. So they'll do desires, which in theory, like if you read that card as like a beginner Yu-Gi-Oh player or like no Yu-Gi-Oh player, you think, yeah, you're crazy, but like, that card is really good, right? It's semi-limited for a reason. So I think people want the urgency, and that's why it won't see play. Even in decks that could run it, they might prefer the Extravagance because it's like instant draw too, where with this card, you got to wait for the next draw phase. But yeah, I think the two normal sums is where I can see this card like really like make something broken with like a different archetype. I'm definitely going to play this in Steel Storm. I don't know if you guys know the Steel Storm archetype, but that's like the first archetype I ever played, and like I think I lost. Like if I were to give a percentage, like 90% of my games with that archetype, it was so fun. I kept playing. That was like the best thing about it. So yeah, I might revive that archetype.
No, definitely. This is something that I think Tom was saying. Tom, he was saying this card makes decks that I want to play that are crap good, and I like that about it. I like that about it because it just anything that can make a pet deck more viable is fun to me. But in terms of meta relevancy, time will tell. But this is a super rare. Buy a play set of it. Like have it ready to go, because we've seen super rares in the past from sets like this just go mental. Like have it ready to go. That'd be my advice.
Being casually being like 20 quid for no reason.
Yeah, what the heck was that all about, man?
Was that branded opening? Was it?
Branded opening was another expensive
opening
well.
as well. Oh gosh, yeah. Anyway, the prices that we've seen this year have been a bit cheeky, but the thing I want to talk about next is the new firewall cards. I think the new firewall cards are absolutely incredible.
Yes, Cyber's decks.
I think we'll love this. I can tell.
Yeah, I think before we had Circular, everyone was like Circular. Well, not everyone. I even said it. Circular was the only good card in Mathmech before, but now we just got normal summon Circular, which is lovely. This card is crazy. It's just what makes this card so good is that it's like it basically what it summons, which is Firewall Guardian, and Firewall Guardian is like 2 cards by itself. So obviously you get Firewall Defense summons Firewall Guardian, and then Firewall Guardian summons itself twice. So basically, and in the Cyberburst deck, everyone knows that in Cyberburst decks you also get Splash Maid and Transcode and G Golem and all of these different variations of special summons. So I mean, it's going to be very nice. I mean, in Mathmech, for example, Mathmech are playing this now, and that's 1 card full combo. So yeah. On top of Circular. So yeah, it's definitely this is why I definitely think Mathmech is in a lot better position than they were last format, because just having access to essentially 2 circulars now is going to do a lot for them in the format. And the format that Droll is running around as well, this is a card that lets them still make a board if they're drolled. So like if they're drolled, instead of drawing cards now, they're just going to special summon from the deck like 10 times, they special summon from the deck like once, and they special summon from the deck like from the graveyard 4 times. But yeah, really, really, really good. It's going to be interesting to see where that ends up landing.
100%.
It's funny you mentioned this card because low key, I've been building Firewall in the background. Like I put in one of my polls. I'm like, one of the 4 options was like, you want me to show some Firewall support? People like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So like legit, I've been in the lab with Firewall, like pure Firewall. But so for me it's like Firewall Mathmech, but I think for you is Mathmech Firewall.
Yeah.
But the cards are wicked. The Link 6 is like really
very,
good
very
too.
Good. Yeah. Even the what's let me get up all of the. So what's nice as well is the Link 5. The 2 Link 5s, they were good before, but obviously before there was no consistent way to get to them. But now this card can get you to a Link 5 or a Link 6 by itself. I guess Ignista players as well, if you feel like you can make a rival with him if you really wanted to in Ignista. But the Link 6, the new Link 6 that they get bounces cards as well, which is awesome. So yeah.
I think Cyberburst pile decks is like everything is so hyper searchable. Like all of the support just seems to work together so well. I think it's such a strong deck right now. Even if you're just playing like pure Mathmech or like just having everything like kind of lumped in together, like it seems unfair to call it like a Cyberburst pile, but
that's what it is. For me, it reminds me a lot of Dragons, basically, where it kind of like everything fundamentally is leading to the same road. Whereas the only difference is with Dragons, they had like synchros and XYZs and things. With Cyberburst, they pretty much before all they had was access code, just different flavors of access code. Now they have like the firewalls as well. Yeah, I guess if you really wanted to, you can play the Topologics. I don't know why you would ever choose to do that.
You could, I guess.
Yeah, so it is really interesting.
And of course, as well, the final thing in SIAG that I think people are talking about, which weirdly seems to have gone under the radar a bit, is Visa Starfrost's next conquest, the Manadium cards.
Was it Manadium?
Manadium.
I don't like the localization, man. I would have preferred Manadome.
Yeah, Manadome went hard, I think.
One thing I'll say is this card looks absolutely epic. I'm going to get this card just because he looks cool.
He's going to play, man.
Prime.
Yeah, very, 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 very cool. What I do like about Manadium as well, though, I might be wrong. I think Shahid, you were saying before, like you've got some experience with this, so maybe you'll be able to correct me. But it does feel like this deck does have a lot of options in terms of how you can play out its boards and stuff, which is quite cool.
Yeah, and I think this is the archetype to bring all the Visa storylines together. So I did like a Manadome guide video, which is like done quite well now. Like, I can tell people are clicking it and people are watching it because they know this deck is approaching. And 100%, man. For me, I see it as like the comeback of like a synchro base kind of deck. Because it's like 2s, 4s, 6 and 8s, and obviously 10s like that you climb into a lot. Literally, I think I was just talking to Fabs earlier before you came on down, and I'm looking at a pile of 100 cards. That's a mishmash of Manadome with like Sprite, Bestial, Pure Adventure, just like stacked up. I've just been filming all day. Like Manadome has just been in my brain 24/7 today. But I think the next support is like definitely gonna help it more. Yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's like tier one. I want to say it because it's biased, but like, yeah, I think someone's got to like someone's got to do some results with it first. I think people look down on the deck. I think.
Yeah.
Do you think that is just because Tier Element and Kashtira and were just so bonkers? Like Scareclaw was a little bit of a late bloomer in the sense of people. It took people a while to look at Scareclaw as well, right? Do you think it's a similar case with Manadome?
I think it's easy to look at the two tuners and see like anything that is like a baby Cersaurus is just going to be really good. I feel like that's all people see, or all they see is just like Baron balls that just lose to Dark Ruler or something like that. Plus they lose to Droll as well. That's like the unfortunate thing. So their debut is at like a time where Shifter might be around, Droll might be around. So it's going to be hard to see the potential of this deck. Like in Swiss, it'll be brutal. I can see all the randoms just losing to Shifter or Droll, for example. I
think as well the existence of it's kind of like what we were saying before, where it's like the existence of a deck like Super Heavy Samurai will push out any combo deck that's not as crazy as it at the moment. Because I mean, if Super Heavy Samurai can literally make any other deck's board better than they can, so it's like it's almost like,
and it can main 15 hand traps.
Yeah, and it does all the hand traps too. But yeah, I definitely think this deck will have its time in the chat because it's not a bad deck at all. I think
because I know a few people have been talking about picking it up, and I've been looking at it, and I think it's definitely cool. It's one to keep an eye on. I think it doesn't scream this is broken out of the gate, but did Kashtira scream this is broken when it came out the gate?
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah, no, it did. It did. The only Kashtira, it was more just that they didn't get.
I'm talking double Kashtira, by the way.
But I mean, when Fenrir, that's what I'm saying. Kashtira was more that all of their cards weren't announced straight away.
Yeah.
But when Fenrir came out, I think universally everyone thought it was a pretty crazy card.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe that's about it.
It was like banish face down, and it searches itself, and it's special.
And it's a tank.
The thing itself is like so weird. Like, why would you put that on there?
Yeah, like gosh. Yeah,
it's so good. Yeah, it's so good.
It's limited in the OCG now, I think.
Yeah, let's actually even see what OCG's saying for the Kashtira cards. So
no unicorns at 1.
Unicorn and Fenrir at 1. Yeah. Wow. And then do they have anything else? Oh, they have Planet at 1 as well. What's up, guys? We're back. A little bit of technical difficulties, but yeah, we're back into the show again. So I've just intruded on an interesting discussion with Shahid and Dan. You guys, let me know, what were you guys talking about while I was fixing stuff?
So we were having a little bit of a chat about Shahid's channel. Actually, you know what? Before we go into what we were saying, Shahid, tell us a little bit about like your channel, like how you got into the Yu-Gi-Oh game in general, and then because you were mentioning how you translated a lot of your prior knowledge to your recording and stuff. Because one thing I'll say to anyone who hasn't checked out Shahid's channel, check it out because this guy's like visual content it's on another level, genuinely. Like it's so impressive, like the way that you form the videos. So talk to us a little bit about your channel, man. Talk to us about your process.
Yeah. So, I mean, to quickly talk about the backstory, like how I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Like everyone else played as a kid in the playground. Fast forward, I think I picked up Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively, as in going to locals, like 2 years ago. I picked up Mech Knights. That was the deck I was playing.
Okay.
But I got second Mech Knights of like Dark Ruler, Lightning Storm, Doom Tri Brigade, Barrier Statue format, which is a rough format for me. But then fast forward a bit more and like started taking it a bit more seriously, start picking up the tier 1 decks, Branded, Sprite. And then from there, it's just been like obsession because I think I'm the type of like player who likes deck building a lot. I think that shows in the channel as well. And then, I guess where the channel came from is I spend so much time on this thing and I have the tools to make the content. So I might as well make it. But also, I had background because I did a different YouTube channel prior for like a year of me doing like vlogs whilst doing photo shoots for like clients and stuff.
Okay.
So I want to say all my YouTube nerves and all the awkward first videos was on that channel. When I transferred over here, it was more natural. So I think that was definitely like a good stepping stone for me, and like probably what helped ease into it a bit more than like starting fresh.
No, definitely. Because I remember, I think when I noticed you in my For You stream and stuff, it was very on the early days of your channel actually. And I remember thinking, like, this is some really good quality stuff. Like, it was surprising to see, at least from like a blind eye, that you have been able to put out such consistent and good quality content, like from early, and I think that's a really good point. But one thing as well, Shahid, I noticed that you like a lot of decks that I'm going to be honest, I've not seen a lot of people talk about. Like, you're a real Utopia fan in it. Like, for example,
Yeah.
you love that. Like, from what I've gathered from the channel, anyway, it seems like that's like such a fan favorite deck of yours.
So
how did that come about?
Yeah, so when I said fast forward in terms of getting back into the game, I don't know when the Traveler format is. Let's say it was 2019, 2020-ish. I think it's like 2 years before that. Legacy of the Duelist came out on the PS3. I don't know if you guys remember.
Wow.
Yeah,
A really weird game, and it was only up to the beginning of Pendulums.
Yeah.
But this is when I didn't play the card game anymore. And like, I just saw Utopia, and I saw Utopia, Ray V, Ray Victory. Those 2 rank 5s that would rank up from it. That was the best Utopia I had at the time. And I think it just happened from there, just playing the game, downloading on the PS3. And then from there, like, I still like Utopia. Fun fact, my first time playing competitive again, I did play Utopia and I got destroyed. I got debut like every game.
Oh my
and then since then, I haven't even took it to many tournaments since then. But like, since then, I've got to adapt this deck. And, I think it's just crazy, man. One thing I say about Yu-Gi-Oh players is there are some players who are just addicted to the adrenaline of drawing cards from your deck. That's what Utopia is, because you draw like 6-7 cards with certain spell cards. So maybe that's me. I don't know. That's like my fix. But yeah, the combos are fun to do, and the art is really cool as well. So yeah, and it's an underdog as well, which is obviously cool too.
Yeah. So on the topic of Utopia bit, what advice would you give someone who has like a favorite deck that is like is not meta, like hasn't really, it's gonna sound disrespectful, but it's not, like hasn't really been talked about like in the rogue sort of ones to watch sort of category. Like, what advice would you give for someone who has a deck like that, like, and they want to take it as seriously as possible? Because I feel like with decks that are kind of like based on around like anime sort of archetypes in particular, like it seems unfair to say, but there's a lot of casual fan base for that, right? Like, what advice would you have to someone who has a deck like that and they want to take it seriously? Like, they want to play Yu-Gi-Oh and play it to the best of their ability. They just want to play a deck they like.
I think so for starters, I think that's like, I want to say a big audience, but maybe people on YouTube or content they don't tap into as much, which I wish they did. For example, a quick example is Red Eyes players. Like, I love Red Eyes. Cashtera Red Eyes would be my go-to, for example. I think what it is trying to add a modern engine into a older school deck, or like an anime deck, for example, and seeing how it works. So what I decided was, okay, I can play pure Utopia, but I'll lose to Nibiru. Let me try Adventure Utopia, and then in theory it sounds impossible, but I've managed to make it work somehow, and I find it consistent enough to the point where I think this is the most competitive build. So I definitely think it's a matter of keeping up with the meta, and then just seeing what small engine, what new cards can you fit into the archetype, and then go from there. And I think as well, just watching content on YouTube. Like, I don't know about you guys, I don't know anyone watching, but when I pick up a deck for the first time, I like to watch every single YouTube video that deck has made, even like OCG ones, even channels that have like a Japanese name and I can't even type them. I'll end up finding everything. Like, I think for Rescue, that was another deck which ironically is now apparently the best deck in the OCG, which is ironic. But like, even that deck as well, I was watching all the videos like this OCG duels, completely random stuff. But I think that's what helps it as well. The more you understand the deck as well, you don't misplay with it, which I think another key part of being a good pilot of a deck.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, what's really interesting about that as well is that I feel like that's something I've seen with a lot of both pro players and creators, where the amount of stuff that goes in behind the scenes as well isn't necessarily immediately obvious, but there is a lot, because it is that notion of watching all of the different kinds of videos and stuff and watching all of that content, and then it has an effect, because then that's when you come out and you come out with this random build, and to everyone else it seems like this is crazy and stuff, but I mean, sometimes you've even seen it somewhere else and then you've just like made it a bit better on your side, and then that's where it's come from. So yeah, definitely I'd say taking that time to look at other builds, taking that time to do that research is definitely hugely important.
Yeah, 100%. But going back to Sayak a little bit, what are some decks that you guys are wanting to try out? Like, not even for competitive play, just decks that you're getting support, or like new engines that you want to try out, like give them a spin at local sort of thing. Because for me, I want to try out the spirit stuff. Like, and I know that it's not going to be anywhere near as competitive as anything else. But I just like spirits in it. Like another White Rabbit's one of my favorite cards, and if I can put that in a deck, I'll be happy. So
I can see Spirit popping off with Adventure, and the Floodgate one, Amino Iwata, that card that wouldn't bounce to your hand because you did Vibra Amaze.
Yeah.
So like again, just how we're talking about Utopia and adapting it, I feel like Adventure might be the way with Spirits, maybe.
Hilarious. I didn't think of that. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Like it was doing well the OCG, and I was like, yeah, that's literally what you're supposed to do. Like, yeah.
Hello, no, something about it just stays.
Too.
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna definitely have some fun with that. Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, for me it's Libromancer. I think Libromancer is one of the coolest looking decks ever. I like ritual decks, and I like combo-y, spammy Drytron kind of decks. And Libromancer I feel like is on the cusp, so I'm gonna have a lot of fun with the new Libromancer card, which it's not amazing. It's a good card, but I mean Libromancer is not like the top tier deck, but it'll be fun to play some Libromancer Mekanko. Give someone a lava golem and attack into it. That's the kind of thing I want to be doing next format. So yeah, that's really what I'm looking forward to.
I've always been curious about rituals because we had that Dynamondo Link Monster in Darkwind Blast, and
very good.
I mean, surely that card, when you read it, it's actually quite good.
It's insane. Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like a sprite elf for ritual decks. Is how I see that card.
Yeah, so like Drytron right now are using it with Chaos Max, for example. So they link off Chaos Max, and on your opponent's turn, summon out Chaos Max. Now you're locked out of the game. So yeah, very, very good card. Yeah, Dynamondo. The thing about Dynamondo that's interesting, and what I like that Konami seems to be doing, because this applies to like everything Cyberstorm Access, they're making a lot of good cards commons. I don't know who beat up the people at R&D, but I'm happy with them because, to be honest, if you want to play a meta deck out of Cyberstorm Access, there are very few cards that were released in Cyberstorm Access that are expensive. So it's like in Pearly, all the expensive cards were from the set before. Super Heavy Samurai, it's lots of old commons. Branded is like probably the exception to that, but to be honest, Branded isn't the best deck in Syac anyway. So like I do like this new philosophy that they seem to be running where stuff is cheap, and Dynamondo is another example because in the former set it was a common. Yeah. So I really do like that. Yeah, so it's a good time to be a rogue player in Yu-Gi-Oh right now.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think Konami has realized, or they figured out the formula to making these rogue decks good. Like there's so many good rogue decks now. I feel like they're just unheard of. Like another one you talk about rituals is I really want to pick up. I think from Syac, but for me it was Fortnite Nova, the Dogmatica ritual stuff.
Yeah.
Especially with Quem, because she's a Dogmatica card. Like you can see a lot of stuff happening with that.
Definitely. So, What's unfortunate is that the existence of Kashtira and Tia has kind of suppressed the fact that Konami has done such a good job with rogue decks over the last year. So many rogue decks are actually like okay, but before you couldn't touch them because of Tyr and Bestials, and now a lot of them you can't touch because they interact with the grave, and Kashtira just doesn't let you. Like Dogmatica is the perfect example. You literally can't use Nadir Servant under a Rise Heart, or I don't know if you can activate it, but even if you can activate it, nothing happens because it's under a Rise Heart. And so it's like once Kashtira is gone, fingers crossed they don't do something else degenerate. There'll be like 50 rogue decks for a lot of us to play, which will be really, really nice. Yeah, but what we're going to do, guys, is... Well, actually, before we move into last topic, is there a second to last topic that anyone's really burning to bring out? Yeah.
No, I don't think so, to be honest. Like, it's tricky because, we're pre-ban list, new set, but no, I'm quite happy to move on, bro.
Yeah, so we're gonna go on to our absolute last topic, which is Am I the Arsehole?
Let's go. Yeah, Shahid, how familiar are you with this subreddit?
No idea. I use Reddit, but not that subreddit.
Yeah, so the subreddit's called Am I the Arsehole? And the idea is that people will tell stories of things that have happened in their life and ask the question, am I the arsehole in this situation? And so we just decide on whether or not we agree and we think they're an arsehole.
We just give our own opinions on it.
What's going to happen is I'm actually going to give a choice of two. I feel like I'm maturing, and I feel like normally I find really immature ones, but this time I've recently been finding a lot more sensible ones. So we have a choice of two.
Okay.
So the first one is, would I be the arsehole to charge my daughter rent? And the second one is, am I the asshole for not letting a friend do me a favor without paying him? Yeah, which one do we want to go with?
Shahid, you're the guest, bro.
Let's do the second one. But you need to say again. I need to make sure I understand.
So the first one is, would I be the asshole to charge my daughter rent? The first one is, would I be the asshole to charge my daughter rent? The second one is, am I the asshole for not letting a friend do me a favor without paying him? Yeah.
I don't know if it's been a long day, but I did not understand that second one. So let's go with the first one.
The second one sounds interesting, but we'll go back to that.
Yeah. We'll go all day. So, all right, let's go with it. I've actually just pressed the wrong button now, which is really annoying, but I can just do this instead. So if I type in Control F is a good button. Here we are. All right, cool. So, my daughter Casey, who is 21, and her boyfriend Mike, who is also 21, are planning to move out of the place they rent. Lots of issues with the landlord and their roommate, which also happens to be the landlord's nephew. Mike is moving back in with his mum, and Casey plans on moving back in with me and my husband, her stepdad. She's doing this mainly for cost. It isn't going to be long term, mainly only 6 months, and I know rent in my area is about $1,500 a month. I'm considering charging Casey $800 a month to stay while she's here. I feel like I could be in the wrong because Casey works part-time about 25 hours a week and goes to school part-time, so $800 is a lot of money to her. I don't feel bad because my husband and I agreed we'd open a separate account and deposit that money in there for Casey to have when she and Mike are able to get another place together. We don't have any intention of keeping the money. Casey was planning to stay with us rent-free, so it might feel unfair to her that her mum is charging her rent. Would I be the asshole to charge her rent? So, yeah. Basically, her daughter wants to stay with her. They want to charge her rent, but keep the money and put it in a savings account for her. What do we think, guys? Would she be the asshole to do that?
I mean, I feel like the boring answer, but is how I would answer it is, if there's a level of trust between everyone, then you should be able to work it out. And if you're saying that money would go in savings for someone, then you're not doing it for like a bad, malicious reason, you know? But then again, the boring answer, but probably the most realistic solution is have a talk about and communicate, how much is feasible. That's how.
Yeah. Oh, Dan, I feel like you're about to say something, Dan.
I agree, to be honest, because it's a case of like she's used to paying $1,500 month of rent, $1,500 rent a month, right? She's used to that. £800 is still lower. So she's still saving money, and I mean, she doesn't know that she's going to be saving the money by putting it into a different account. Maybe 800 is a little bit high, but like Shah says, have a conversation. Like, if we'll put it to maybe 500 or something, and if they have no intention of keeping the money anyway, then no, I don't think it's unreasonable, like, to ask a child for rent if they're moving back in with you, like, and they're able to pay rent. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. Maybe that's boring, but you know.
What's interesting about the rent thing for me is I'd say it's a really cultural thing because I know for a lot of people that's the norm. Yeah, you just pay rent. Whereas I know in my culture, for example, a lot of kids go back to parents and it's very uncommon to be asked to pay rent. So like my sister lived at my parents' house until she was 31 and she didn't pay rent. But it's like, because I know it's a really cultural thing. It depends who you're from. But for me, I think the only problem I really have with it is that she's 21 years old. I don't think that charging her rent and basically trying to force her to save and helping her save, she's at a big enough age now that it's not down to you to help her save. Do you get it?
Yeah, no, I do and definitely get that.
It's like treating her like a baby, almost like, oh yeah, I'll take the money and put it in a pot for you. And it's like, it sounds nice in theory, but even as you've decided that that's the smartest thing that she needs to do to save that money, it's not up to you to decide at that stage. I think either charge her rent because you need to charge her rent, or don't charge her rent. But I think taking the money and putting it in a pot is just weird, and it's not. I would do that to a 16-year-old, not a 21-year-old, in my opinion.
I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think about the financial implications, because the way I was answering it was like, they're going to pay for your, water, food, what have you. On what you said about rent, I do think it is I do think it may be a cultural thing, but I also think it's a case by case scenario.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I don't know. That does. It's a bit weird, actually. I didn't think about it like that. Maybe
It's
think
a
about it.
fairly common thing nowadays, isn't it? With living costs as well, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's happening everywhere all the time, 24/7. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, that's it. Like, I would never criticize someone for charging someone rent to stay in there. Like, even like, so if I use a person's, like, I wouldn't charge my child rent because in my head it's like it's my kid. They were living here before. Why should that change much? But then at the same time, it's also like if you want to charge rent, yeah, I get it, man. Life is expensive, and at your big age, as you're 21 years old and you have a job and you've decided to also go and collect a boyfriend and live with him, and you get it's like, yeah, you should be able to pay for yourself, but. I'm not a fan of the whole saving her money for her. She's no.
Yeah, I do. I think though Shahid has hit the nail on the head. Just have a conversation about it.
Yeah,
just be open, communicate.
That's like the best answer because literally 95% of problems on the subreddit can be solved with just talk to each other. Like,
right.
Yeah.
You'd think these guys have like a remote family where one of them is in a different country because like no one seems to talk to each other on Reddit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm assuming like.
Also,
Is there like a rule on this subreddit where like if someone says just communicate, it's like auto banned? So you can't do that.
there must be.
Subreddit wouldn't exist. It wouldn't
There
exist.
really must be.
We're allowed
Yeah,
to say that.
that's definitely how they behave. Just as an interesting thing, which I'm going to reveal as well, over half of the people actually thought the mum was an asshole for charging her rent.
Oh, okay.
I know, right? Do you know what? That just says to me that over half of the people don't pay rent in their own houses and they don't own their own houses. That's why they can very confidently say that. Cause,
do you know what? They're lucky in it.
yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if you'll still be saying that if you had your own house, but anyway, guys, on that note, we're gonna close the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show Season 2, Episode 3 with Shahid. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. Have you got any
Thanks for having me,
shouts
guys.
before we close out the show?
Yeah, I mean, I did a poll. I let the community know on YouTube, but next week is all Samsung Access content. I've been filming like a madman today. Honestly, Samsung Access, I've been hyped for every release, but this one has been absolutely insane. So, yeah, I'd say, check out the channel. I've tried to do discussions and try to make them entertaining. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, loving
Good
it.
stuff, man.
Thanks, guys.
Good stuff.
We'll see you
Definitely,
guys.
Shahid. Thank you very much for coming on. Definitely want to be having you back at some point.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. Oh, no, before I sign off, guys, there is it's an announcement next week. Next week, you guys will find out, but a tournament is coming. But
Okay.
All right, in a bit, guys. Talk soon. Peace.